Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In Between the Stitches. As always, I'm your host, Brady Wilson, and I'm with my co-host, Chase Olschwanger.
What's going on?
And just a quick thing, if I do sound a little bit weird or different, I'm getting over a sinus infection, so hopefully it doesn't affect the broadcast too much, but just if I sound a little bit, more, just a little bit different, that's why. And, we'll kick it off with the Stars here, 35, 34, 15, and 8. Still first in the Central, still second in the West. A couple tough losses, but we said this is a tough month, a lot of road games. And we got the Senators tomorrow at 6 p.m. We lost the Rangers 3-1 yesterday. So, it's had an overtime loss. It just, it's fine. It's a rough month.
Yeah, a couple tough losses, as you mentioned, the overtime loss versus the Bruins, another great team. But we, like you said, we a couple weeks ago came into this episode talking about, this month of February, a road trip and a bunch of tough games, especially on this road trip. But the Stars are holding their own. They're holding their ground, and they're still playing well. You can have these losses here and there. You just got to figure out ways, to win. Yeah, on the road, especially against good teams, because that's what they're going to have to do late down the stretch.
Yeah, they better talk to Bruce Bochy. They need to get Bochy in there. All right, here's how you win on the road, boys. We got to do this. But, yeah, I think that they've, coming into the All-Star break, have been okay.
Good.
Yeah, they've been fine. And we did have some injuries this week. That was also part of we lost. I can't remember everybody that we did lose, but it was a few players that were scratched, and they may need a day. So, trade deadline. I don't know what the trade deadline is, but I know that it's got to be coming up soon.
I could see us making some more depth pieces and additions.
I think, like we've said, defenseman, maybe a third goalie.
Yeah,
and then I can't think of much else that we would desperately need.
From the attacking, offensive end, there's not much needed when everyone's on there, on the ice.
No.
It's a deadly offensive threat.
The only fear is that after after the trade deadline, guy goes down,
right,
and then you may call up Stankoven or Bork or one of those things.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be an Evan Carter situation.
Might do that. Yeah.
You never know, but yeah, Stars doing well. We got, like I said, we've got the Senators tomorrow at 6 p.m. In Ottawa, so hopefully we can get back on track with a win. And then the Dallas Mavericks. So, the NBA is an all-star game, all-star break, right? So time to recoup and just rest. And the Mavs definitely came in strong. 6-game winning streak, beat the Sixers, Nets, Knicks, Thunder, Wizards, and Spurs. Did a pretty good demolishing of the Spurs. Remember, they asked Pop at the end, and Pop was just like, they have Kyrie and Luka. What do you want me to do? Nothing you can do to stop those guys. We got the hated, vile, evil empire Phoenix Suns tomorrow at 6:30 national television. Is it ESPN national television or TNT?
Yeah, TNT.
Dang. But right now,
you don't get it.
Well, I have to go through HBO Max just because freaking Fubo doesn't have Turner channels. 32-23, 7th in the West. But if we do win this game, it does flip, like you were saying earlier.
Yes, this is actually the final. It is a 3-game season for the Suns and Mavs. Typically it's 3 and 4. Or 4, mostly 4, especially for other Western Conference teams. But it's only 3 between the Mavs and the Suns. And this game will be the tiebreaker. And the Suns have a half-game lead on the Mavs. And if the Mavs pull this game out, they will swap seedings. So hopefully the Mavs, everyone got healthy. Exum should be returning. The team right now, I think, everyone's good to go. So, Luka got a lot of rest, a much-needed rest. Kyrie got a much-needed rest. And everybody should be ready to go.
Yeah, it's rest was needed, and I think it also gives the team a chance to maybe, like we said, rest, but also maybe, I don't know what they were doing over the All-Star. Maybe they all met for steaks and just kind of get to know the new guys, and they've looked really well.
Yeah.
PJ and Gafford have just looked excellent with us.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have the expectations of PJ being the more significant, I guess you could say, role when it comes to just pure effectiveness on the floor. But it's been the opposite. Gafford, both of them have been great. PJ's been a huge addition in athleticism wise. And Gafford has just been, that guy as well, the lob threat defender. And
I feel like he's been lively when Lively's out.
Right, exactly. Now adding them both back, Lively came off the bench the other night. I'm pretty sure he'll be back in the starting rotation. It was just, a minute restriction, getting back in the work of things.
Well, just that, but I don't know the college. I don't know the college basketball ranks probably as well as you do. What's their season like? Because I know that's a problem sometimes for guys in baseball going from a AA season to the major league season. They get Josh Young. The injury may have actually helped him in a way from not getting fatigued, But you kind of saw that when he got called up for the first time. He kind of was a little fatigued just because he hasn't played that long. Could that be something they want to? I hate this term, but load management with Lively. I don't know how long the basketball season is in the NCAA. I assume it's not 82 games.
No, I mean NCAA they'll play. What do they play? 28 regular season games, excluding just regular season outside the tournament.
Okay,
the
so it's a lot more in the NBA then.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I mean
so,
you'll play a max of 35 games in the NCAA if you go all the way to the Final Four and win it, I think.
So basically,
it's not even half a season.
You would prefer Lively to maybe even sit a couple games just because you don't want him to get fatigued.
Right, but Lively came back. First off, it wasn't like an ankle or hamstring or anything. He just had a broken nose, right?
No, I know that. I'm just saying that you don't want him to, because there is he's prepared for 35 game seasons potentially. I mean, he played at Duke.
Yeah.
Played at Duke, so he played a lot of games. But then you go to the NBA where you got 80 something, 82. Then you got the playoffs.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's
sure. But I mean, it was the final game before the All-Star break. A team like the Spurs, you should beat, and the Mavs, handled them well. So you didn't have to really work him back in that much. You played him 15, 20 minutes. That's exactly what you needed to do to get him back into things. And then the All-Star break hits. So the Mavs played it well. He's good to go. He might still be wearing the mask, but he's good to go. And I'm excited for the season to, they say the second half, but there's only, I think we have 27 games left. So It's not really another half, but it's the second half, and this is crunch time. So everybody needs to, stay on the floor, keep the consistent, great offensive and great defensive performances. And as I go back to my point about PJ Washington and Gafford additions, you can tell PJ on the floor doesn't look 100% comfortable as a scorer yet. And I know we mentioned this last week a little bit, coming from Charlotte where you're the number 1, number 2 option on the floor at all times, going to the Mavericks where you're, at best the number 3 option on the floor, right? So it'll take time to transition as, that 3rd, 4th option offensively. But when he does and gets more comfortable and rely on him more, to go to work and score more, I think he'll be and look a lot more effective.
I think PJ was more of just we need someone to fill Grant Williams' spot,
but better
on the roster. Gafford was a lively. We need a second center.
Yeah,
we need a second big man. Clearly, so I think Gafford addressed a bigger need, but PJ was thought of as the quote unquote better player.
Right.
But
both guys being 25 years old. So not only did we get what we needed, we got younger.
And they're long term.
These are long term deals. Yes,
which is nice. And for what you gave up.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you only gave up, 2 first-round picks for each of them?
2 first-round picks.
So look at them as your first-round picks.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it was both good deals. And to split here for a second, I didn't put it on here, but I want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
UNT basketball has been killing it lately. And I know you've been on TV a couple times at the games. I've seen it as part of the UNT Mean Green, what do they call the Maniacs?
Mm-hmm.
But UNT basketball, I don't have it in front of me or anything, but they are threatening a potential tournament run.
Yeah. So, as UNT students, I feel like, we haven't talked about them much on the podcast, so we'll talk about them now
We'll talk a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Once college basketball gets to the tournaments and gets to the, NCAA tournament, we'll get more into it, I'm sure. But 14-11 UNT record, and it doesn't sound so popping, right, as of what we're making it sound like. But then you look at the NCAA rankings and you filter the D1 luck rankings, and that is a true statistic. There is a bunch of different statistics out there, and there's luck. And we are 361st out of 362 teams in the country in luck rating. So we are the second unluckiest team in the nation with 9 3 to 5 point losses. So really unfortunate losses. But for the American Conference, it is a toss-up. There really isn't a true number 1 team in the conference. Everybody thought Memphis was the best, and then Memphis comes a den last week, and we beat them by 10, injured. So the tournament is a toss-up. The conference is a toss-up, and I'm really excited. I'm going to be there at the conference tournament at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth when it's a couple weeks.
Does that? And this is I'm just going to do this for people who may not know. Does every team go to the tournament for the conference, or is it only the top whatever teams?
I think it's.
So I don't know if you want to bring UTSA or
no.
Temple.
Rice, Temple. No, I don't think. I think it's like maybe 8 or 10 teams. Or how many teams are in the conference?
We're 6 right now. We're in 6.
Yeah, we're fine. We'll be there. I'm not sure if it's any. No,
there's 14 teams in the conference.
I bet.
I figured they take 8.
I bet it's 8 or 10. Yeah, I bet it's
And
8
then,
or
so
I don't know exactly.
how many teams can be eligible for the conference? I mean, for the big tournament, is it the conference winner, or can you be eligible being the runner-up?
There's a chance at the runner-up. And now, if UNT is the runner-up, I don't think so.
Okay.
But if UNT makes it, win it, but we beat either FAU or Memphis in the championship game, FAU or Memphis could still sneak their way in because they've, FAU beat Arizona this year and they were ranked up until last week. So they still have the resume during the season to still get, that automatic bid. But the American Conference is a good conference, and there could be, but it's not going to get, that recognition of Big 12, Big 10, Big East,
No.
SEC, right? It's up there. It's a top 6, 7 conference for sure. Easily.
So coming up, we got UTSA at home, and then we got to go to Tulane, which should be fun because we remember. So I was at that game.
We were all there together. Yeah.
And one of their players was really jawing off at us, which it was really funny. Because when I was a kid going to high school games and I'd mouth off to players, these guys are almost grown men, but now we're almost the same level as these guys on the floor. They're
Right.
not that much older, and you're older than I am. But then we got East Carolina, FAU, and then Rice. So really, games that you should win, except for FAU and East Carolina are good.
FAU, yeah, as I said, they were just ranked. We went into FAU a couple weeks ago and we lost by 3 off a game-winning shot. Speaks
Unlucky.
for our season.
Unlucky.
Exactly. That's why we're ranked 361st in luck.
So it's we have a really good shot at potentially a tournament run, and even then, NIT is almost, I think, a lock for us. It feels like.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the NIT tournament is still a win of something, which is still really cool.
I truly think that this team, healthy, because we're still without CJ Nolan and Reuben Jones, 2 of our best guards. And now Jason Edwards is our best guard, but Reuben Jones, CJ Nolan, 2 of our
My
best
guy,
players.
CJ,
Yeah,
Waxahachie alum.
and they have not been healthy for 5 weeks now.
Yeah,
And it's been rough because we really only have one ball handler initiator on the floor, whatever, right? It's so this team fully healthy. I really think the ceiling, if they find a way to make it to the tournament, I think the ceiling is a Sweet 16 appearance. Yeah, I really do.
we'll see.
Mhm.
But off that now, moving to the NBA All-Star Game. Most people now, you love basketball. Like I love baseball, and so to you, I'm sure it could have been a real stink. It could have been a stinker. You probably would have been. That was a great game, just because you love basketball. But a lot, like the prevailing theory I saw from a lot of people was just it was bad.
Sure. I mean, people want to see the best players in the world be competitive.
I think it's a lot of people who aren't our age and are older and can remember MJ and Kobe in those All-Star games, and I understand why they don't want to go hard in the game. I get it. But I still think you should, and that's just because you want to see. Now, football, I understand why they didn't, because football is a lot more fluky than
Sure.
I mean, Dre Greenlaw gets hurt in the Super Bowl celebrating.
Yeah.
Right. So football, you have those fluky injuries. So I understand why they went to the flag. Right. Even then, I think you can go hard. They actually was entertaining to watch. They were trying. It was just backyard football.
Right.
Which was a lot of fun to watch, I think, from these guys. But with basketball, it was fine. But I still maintain baseball has the best All-Star weekend and the best All-Star game. I still maintain that because I think, and I'm not saying because we used to have that screwy rule that really, I hate it so much. The one where the winner of the All-Star game gets home field advance to the World Series.
Yeah.
Oh, and what was one of the years the National League won it? Oh, yeah, 2011. That's super cool, guys. What way to go?
And this past year too, right? I think Elias,
Yeah, they wanted
Elias
this-
Diaz hit
and
the
then, yeah,
walk-off or whatever.
hit the go-ahead home run against Bautista, but it was plus the All-Star game will be coming to Texas this year, so hopefully I can go, but we'll see. But at this time, we're moving to baseball. It is my time to remind everybody that we are the defending World Series champions, the Texas Rangers, because position players have now reported to spring training, and so the gang is back together. Except for 4 players. 4 players are not in spring training right now. And that is Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Cody Bellinger, and Matt Chapman. And so I also make a note, screw Scott Boras, and I hope that he retires tomorrow. Be great for baseball. It's frustrating because they should be signed. You should be excited to have him on your team. I said Blake Snell should go to the Orioles. If I was the Orioles' new owner, I don't know when new ownership takes over, if they already have taken over, that'd be the first person I'm calling.
You think they might have because Corbin Burns already? I mean,
they have Corbin Burns, but they needed an ace. They got one, but imagine 2 aces. I mean, especially that Bradish Did you hear about Bradish?
Yeah.
Sprained his UCL, which they're going to try to avoid Tommy John surgery, but let me give you a little hint. He's probably going to have it. That's just usually what happens. It very rarely do you see a guy hurt his UCL in some capacity and him not need Tommy John at some point with that. But, yeah, it's just bad for baseball. It's just bad to see these teams, not signing these guys, and I don't know who to blame. So I'm going to blame Scott Boras. I'm going to say it like last time. I'm going to blame Boras. I'm not going to blame the players because, they hired him, yes, but he's probably the best agent in sports history, arguably, just for what he does for his clients. He gets them the biggest contracts. The problem is he's bad for baseball and I figured we'd have Montgomery because we have a relationship with Boras. Seager's a Boras client, and I think we have a couple. I think Simeon may be a Boras client as well. I think we have a few others that are, part of that Boras corporation. But, I hope Monty comes back, but I'm not holding my breath, basically.
At this point, it's just a toss-up.
At this point, I'm just so frustrated with it. I'm frustrated. I'd rather
it's like at this point, are these guys even going to play?
If I was them, if I was the Rangers, I would walk up to Montgomery and I'd offer him, say, hey, do you want to do a 2-year deal? But see, the thing is, he's getting up there in age, so does he want to do a shorter term deal and risk not being as effective? But I would look at it like he's not a hard thrower, he's not a flamethrower. He's a control pitcher that works off of his really weird slot, all that. I think that would. You're not really. It's different than if someone like Jacob deGrom who's a flamethrower that has injury problems. I would walk up to Montgomery and say, if you want a large contract, I'll offer you $260 right now, and it's $30 million a year.
Yeah.
But I'd offer you $260 and defer a bunch of that because we are pushing luxury tax right now. And I understand why the ownership doesn't want to go because the luxury tax, the penalties went up. So the penalties. The penalties. I'm trying to think, if you're over the luxury tax for a certain amount of years and consecutively, you get draft picks taken away. So they've upped the penalties, which is frustrating. But hey, we'll see what the Rangers decide to do.
Yeah.
Bellinger, I still think he's going back to the Cubs. Chapman, I have no idea. I think the Giants make a lot of sense, but I don't know. And then Snell, I thought Yankees.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see with these guys. And I hate it because there's a time where we're all getting excited for baseball season, and 4 of the best players aren't assigned with anybody. Frustrating. That's really it for baseball. Rangers, Josh Young hurt his calf. Don't read much into it. He'll be fine. I love being able to sit and watch all of the, and this is air quoting here at my hands here, fans freak out about every little thing in spring training. I've always found it hilarious.
It's more just precaution.
Not even that, but freaking about everything. Like I literally had to turn on 105.3, and Jared Sandler was talking about how don't read much into the fact that Dane Dunning. Apparently there was people that think, and I know he was saying this because he's probably seen it. I don't think Sandler would say this because he just wants to say it. That they don't read much into the fact that Dane Dunning is starting the first Cactus League game. Well, no bleep. Like, that's common sense.
Yeah.
That he's not going to be our opening day starter, barring catastrophic injuries. He's not our opening day guy. So, no, because he pointed out Glenn Otto started the first Cactus League game last year. Glenn Otto.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, are there people that are worried that Dane Dunning is going to be the number 1 starter because he started the first spring training game? It's ridiculous. But, what are your thoughts about all of it?
Yeah, I'm don't even know, man. I'm just ready for baseball season to be back, and I know that Rangers have dealing with some injuries. Young, as you said, Seager is still working his way back, but
yeah, he had the hernia.
Yeah, but again, he should be good to go for opening day. That's what the reports were. But yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm excited. I want Monty back. I don't care what the other people do unless they come here.
Right.
But I want Monty back, and it's unfortunate that we have to wait so long. And it's like, I wonder, does this affect him? Like, is he even working out right now? Like,
oh yeah, he's working out. Everyone's working out.
But is he involved in spring training?
No, not with the team, but he is working out. I guarantee you, these guys probably don't work out rigorously until at least December. They probably start ramping up, especially pitchers. I remember seeing stuff of Aroldis Chapman, I think, in January. He was already starting to throw again. Because it's how you help limit arm injuries, is ramping your arm back up.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you help limit the injuries. But You need time off and time to ramp back up.
Of course.
It's weird. That's really it for baseball. There's just,
The next month is just a dead period, pretty much.
yeah, I mean, it's spring training, and games start Thursday tomorrow. There's a game, which is kind of cool.
I thought it was Friday.
No,
Rangers are Friday.
Rangers are Friday.
Yeah.
But there is a game tomorrow.
Okay.
Which is, hey, baseball's back tomorrow officially with a game. There will be organized activity. It's Gavin Stone versus Joe Musgrove, Dodgers Padres, for probably an inning.
Yeah.
But it's still, hey, it's still cool. Still spring training. I always, I love spring training. To me, there's no better sounds than the sounds of spring training, because there's no crowd. It's just the pops and cracks, and
Right.
it's just it's so glorious to hear. But it's really it for baseball. I mean, Hyunjin Ryu, Boris Client, there we go. He signed with the KBO team for the largest contract in KBO history. It's equivalent to about $12 million in our money. So, hey, congratulations, a 4-year deal. He'll probably retire after that and, go back to his home country. I wish him the best. But, yeah, good for him. But there's just nothing. There's nothing in baseball. There's no trade rumors. There's no, hey, I hate doing, well, who's going to make the team? Because I have no idea. There's been no games. All right? And Wyatt Langford, he's cool. He's there. Have you seen the jerseys? Jerseys suck. Have you seen this?
Ours?
Yeah. No. Everybody's. Nike.
Oh,
changed the
yeah.
jerseys. And it looks so bad.
Yeah.
It does. And the Rangers ones don't look as bad, but it looks bad. Yeah. I think they may change it. But how do you change it? You've already been probably mass producing these. You better change it pretty dang quickly. But we'll see. It's just bring back Majestic. Majestic had it for so many years, and it was so good. Why did you change it? Why? I know why. Money, but still. Very frustrating. And then there's just nothing in baseball right now. I mean, camp rumors are camp rumors. Yippee.
Whatever. Yeah.
I mean, apply a little bit of baseball IQ and common sense, and you'll be able to probably figure out most of the team right now, barring injuries, right? I mean, no one's going to challenge for any of the starting positions in any of the positions. Anywhere. Maybe DH, but that's because DH is wide open. DH is a competition right now. No one's challenging Carter for left. No one's challenging Leote for center. No, Langford's not challenging Leote for center. I want everyone to realize that. No one's challenging Adolis, which, by the way, I think Adolis got bigger. I don't know how it's possible, but his arms look bigger. I still think it's funny
all Astro fans in the comments saying, check this man for PEDs, something like that.
Fine, go ahead and check him. It's called he hits the gym.
Yeah.
He works out.
Yeah.
And some people just have great genetics, I guess. I mean, I would love to see what his parents look like. I feel like if his dad is built like the Hulk, then okay, yeah, it's genetics.
He's
but
just a big, strong dude. That's all it is.
Even then, people are saying PEDs, but go back and look at his days with the Cardinals. He was still pretty well built.
Hey, he just got a
little bit bigger because he's getting a little bit older, I guess. He's just getting bigger. But there's just nothing. No one's challenging Lowe. No one's challenging Heim. They're taking it easy with Heim because Heim just had a lot of those injuries in the year. Yeah. It's just the time where when you're like the Rangers, you have a great roster. It's not intriguing at this time because you're just if you're like the Royals or the A's are just the A's, but if you're a team that's has a lot of interesting players,
Royals up and coming a little bit
through, then yeah, there's a lot more interesting of a time to speculate. But the Rangers, it's like, well, there's really no intrigue because we know, barring injury, who's probably at least the starting 8, and probably the opening day starters going to be Evaldi, unless Montgomery decides they want to give it to Monty. I still don't think you do. I still think you give it to Evaldi.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know, okay, Leclerc's probably going to be the closer. Spores and Yates and Robertson are going to be kind of his setup men. There's not a lot of intrigue right now, which is fine. I'm okay with winning a World Series and it not being intriguing at this time of the year. It's just like, hey, we've accomplished our goal, so let's try and get back. Let's try and get another one.
And once again, we wait another week to hopefully announce free agent signings.
I have them all out here on the thing, like I did with the managers. So we will input all their names as they sign. But I guess now we'll shift to football. And the Cowboys did a few things, did some cleaning. The couple guys left, so they had to fill some spots on their coaching staff. And Zimmer, I felt like got a few good guys. Jeff, I'm gonna butcher the heck out of this. It's Zgoni.
Z's got to be silent. It's got to be Ghana.
I think something like that. It's Ghanina or something like that.
Ghanina, yeah.
He was the D line coach or assistant D line coach for the Commanders. I believe he's now our official D line coach. I don't know if you've seen this man. This man's calves are the size of like my shoulders. He is huge. He looks like your stereotypical big former defensive lineman because he played on the Greatest Show on Turf defense.
Yeah.
He was a deep back, so he has a ring as a player. He's just freaking huge. He's just a built dude. And then we hired Greg Ellis, former defensive end under Mike Zimmer. Was the pick that we did over Randy Moss, by the way. Just fun little trivia. It was a fine player for us, but not Randy Moss.
He's not Randy Moss.
But Greg Ellis was actually the high school coach. So my hometown, Waxahachie, Texas, has a college. If you know two technically, because it has a campus for the Navarro Junior College, has an actual college. It's NAIA. It's called SAGU. It's Southwestern Assemblies of God University. Very Christian college. A lot of pastors, a lot of things that go through there. They have a football team that actually play at the high school stadium at Lumpkin Stadium. He was their head coach last few years. I think he coached somewhere else this past year. Before that, last year or four, he had been the head coach of SAGU.
Cool. Very cool.
So really cool for him, and kind of feels like John Kitna. People don't know this. The job he had before he was the Cowboys QB coach was the Waxahachie head coach. He was our head coach. He coached Jalen Rager and those guys for a few years there, and up-and-coming draft prospect Dwight Richardson and Ladarius Henderson. So those were guys that he coached. So, hey, cool for Ellis. He'll be the assistant D-line coach. And then Paul Gunther. He is the one that I didn't know who he was, that as you do more research, you go, this is a really cool hire because he has been a long-time Zimmer assistant. That's one. But he's worked at a lot of places with Zimmer. He was there with the Bengals with Zimmer. He held staff assistant special teams, and assistant defensive backs coach, assistant special teams, assistant linebackers, then assistant special teams and DBs again, then linebackers coach from 2012 to 2013. So hey, remember those linebackers? Fontez Burfict, those guys, really good linebackers. Then when Zimmer left, he was the DC from 14 to 17. And then went to the Raiders under John Gruden was the DC. And then his last year coaching was 2021 under Zimmer. He was a senior defensive assistant. So he's been with Zimmer a lot before. And his linebackers, when he was a position coach, his linebackers were some of the best in football. So to me, he was an okay defense coordinator. It wasn't special, but there are some coaches that are just better as the position coaches, right? I mean, there are some coordinators that are better coordinators than head coaches, right? Like Dan Quinn has that title right now. We will see him with the Commanders, but right now he has the title of he was a great coordinator, not a great head coach. Sometimes that happens, right? And sometimes you can be an okay an okay coordinator, but a great head coach. It kind of goes like Shanahan he was a good offensive coordinator, but he's been a great head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so at least in terms of up until Super Bowl. 2 blown leads as the head coach and 1 as an offensive coordinator, ironically. But Gunther's going to be the defensive run game coordinator. And so what that tells me is that he is going to be working with the linebackers, and that is where his focus is going to be and helping our run game, which is a problem that has been persistent the past few years. So that's why I like it, is that he's been around, he's coached some great linebackers, he's coached some great teams that were good against the run. Because, if you were coaching in that AFC North, you had to be good against the run.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, they all like to run the ball. Very smash-mouth teams. And so I like it for that because he's been around, and he strikes me as a better coach when you make his role smaller. You maximize his ability to coach. Because if I'm coaching offensive line, I'm a great offensive line coach. I'm one of the best offensive line coaches. So then you say, I'm going to make you offensive coordinator. Well, now I'm dealing with everybody. I got to worry about the quarterback. I got to worry about running back, receivers, tight ends. I got to worry about then the offensive line, right? So now you broaden what I have to worry about. Then you make me a head coach. Now that I have to worry about the defense. It broadens what I have to worry about. And although it's some people just can't handle that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So I like the hire. It seems to be long time defensive guy, been around a while, and I like it.
I don't know if you heard about I don't think it's a rumor anymore. I think it's like an actual thing, but Jimmy Johnson has apparently been in contact with Jerry, not for an official hiring position,
No.
but he is back in the swing of things, I think, for certain roles with the Cowboys.
It sounds like to me that they've just rekindled their friendship.
Yeah.
And Jerry's just going to I bet you what it was is, and I read, so Jimmy Johnson has written a book. It's called Swagger. It's a really good book because it goes into he explained his philosophies on sports and team building, which of course is a draft guy I'm fascinated by.
Sure.
And what he looks for, and really interesting guy. And he was, in that book, he was, talking about how a lot of coaches come to him and say, hey, what's your advice? Jason Garrett came to me. What's your advice for me to be his head coach? Him and Bill Belichick are great friends because they think very similar. And that's why Jimmy likes Belichick, is because Jimmy says, I couldn't coach today. I couldn't coach with the salary cap and having to worry about all this stuff. But he said, I respect Bill because Bill has been able to do that in this era. He was able to transition into the new era. But with Jimmy, I don't think he's back in the fold like he's been hired. Like, oh, he's a senior scout. Yeah. Putting in the emphasis on senior. Sorry, Jimmy. But I don't think it's like that. I think it's more just he's rekindled his friendship. And Jerry, I think he's asked him, hey, if you were me, what would you do? Yeah. And I'm sure Jimmy gave him, and I'm sure he may ask him, hey, about a few players. He says he's back in the fold. I don't think that means he's going to hire him, but I do think that it means that he's back in the terms of they're in good graces. And if you read his book, he goes into his side of the story of what happened to him and Jerry. And I'm going to believe Jimmy before I believe Jerry. And that's just because I think Jimmy would not put a spin on it to try and make himself look better. Basically, it's everything I've said before, which is Jerry's ego. And Jerry wanted, and he wants to be thought of as a winner alone. Not realizing he's an owner of the ultimate team game, and no one will ever give you alone credit. That's just if we win the Super Bowl next year with a team that we mostly drafted, you know who we're going to give the credit to? Will McClay. You still don't get it. Like, it's not going to happen for you. But we'll see. I heard that, and I actually think it's interesting.
I think it's cool. I mean, I think that, especially, we've obviously had some bad playoff losses in recent years, in the last 20 years, right? I think this one really took a turn on Jerry, and I really think that I know we say it every year, right? But Jerry, and he's looked like he's actually done
don't
something.
Say it. Don't say it.
What?
Don't say it. Jerry has not changed. I'm joking.
Oh no, I was never gonna say that.
I'm joking with you.
It just looks like he's actually taken some initiative after this loss compared to certain to recent losses, I guess you could say. It looks like he's actually trying to make the team better and trying to do what the team needs with hiring Zimmer, with getting Jimmy back in the swing of things, just doing these small little things that's what it takes to win and be successful. And I really do think that this Packers loss took a big turn on him just mentally, and it looks like he's really trying to take a change.
I think because they were going all in this year. I mean, trading for Brandon Cooks and on Gilmore, I remember we were so excited about it because they don't do that.
No.
And Cowboys don't make moves like that.
And it was great additions.
They were great, and they provided, and I think McCarthy misused Cooks a lot, and I just think that was a problem, which frustrated me. But Gilmore played excellent, and he said he wants to come back, which is great. You have Cooks for next year. So I think that, I'm trying to think, the all-in move, and then it didn't work, and it ended at that. It ended with the humiliating loss. Like, I wasn't even, usually I remember after the 49ers loss last 2 years, I've done some damage to some things. I've never actually done damage to myself because my brain will catch myself before I punch a wall. I'll never destroy my TV. I don't understand that. Yeah. But the first one I destroyed, an old Bluetooth speaker I had that didn't work anymore. And then last year I destroyed my old phone I didn't use anymore. So but this year I wasn't even mad. I was just like, this is actually happening. This was in the back of my head. I was worried about this. And here it is. You get that. It is coming to life on my TV screen right now. And that was what was frustrating about it. It was more demoralizing than it was angering. Yeah. The last 2 years I've been angry. I wasn't angry this year. I was just so disappointed.
Yeah. It was
just so
a lot more deflated. Deflating. I was looking for the word there.
And I mean,
than anger.
Let's see the playoff losses. Well, let's see Romo's fumbled snap. We can go through the Des No catch. We can go to Aaron Rodgers and Jared Cook. We can go to the Rams one. I don't mind as much because they were just a better team.
I mean, when you can't stop a bowling ball and Anderson.
Yeah, it
it
was
just.
Remember, I can still hear my dad. Why can't we stop him? Oh,
Yeah.
It was bad. And then you lose the Niners 2 years in a row. Then you lose the Packers. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It is frustrating as a fan of your team to not see your team be successful. And, it's just, and then everyone picks your team apart, this and that. And being a Cowboys fan, I never felt like me and you were obnoxious Cowboys fans. See, there's a lot of Cowboys fans that piss me off
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, dude, we're America's team. That's our moniker, but like, we're just another football team. Like I like every football fan's optimistic, but Cowboys fans, some of them can be overly optimistic.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the frustrating part is that people put too much of a spotlight on the nutcases in our fan base, which has always frustrated me. But, and then Dak has a new contract potentially coming up this year. And we've talked about this. He's going to get $60 million. He probably will. Is he worth it? Yeah. Sorry, he is. And then I want to ask you the question. Same thing I'm going to ask you. I'll ask it probably every single freaking episode I have to. If you have an answer for me, leave it in the comments on YouTube. If not Dak, then who? It's not Cooper Rush, not Trey Lance. If you say Trey Lance, I will just give you a laughing emoji. If not Dak, then who? Caleb Williams. Well, how are you going to get Caleb Williams? Who in that? Who are you going to be able to? No, it's not happening. You're not going to get Daniels. You're not going to get May. I don't want Penix. I don't want McCarthy. I don't want Nix. Oh, dear God. There is no other quarterback that is readily available to you that is unequivocally better than Dak Prescott. It's not happening. So pay the man.
Yeah, pay him. Just get him back.
Move on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I got to say about that.
He's gonna get a lot of money, but that's just because of that's just the era.
The cap goes up. The cap's going up like $20 million this year.
Dak's gonna reset the contract. Just reset it all, and then the next quarterback. We were talking about this before. CJ Stroud's the next guy up when it comes to talent and just like young.
We think.
Right as of right now, yes. You don't see a lot of rookie QBs as successful as him, and you just think about in 5 years from now, who's gonna get that first 78 year, and I think he's a candidate for that. But no, I mean Dak's 60 mil is gonna look a lot right now.
But then
and it is.
There's just like it's $20 million. The cap is going up.
Yeah,
and we can restructure contracts and get like $60 million. I mean, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about it. But last bit of business for the NFL, and I want to do like a draft story or something. Some NFL story each week. This one maybe we do again at some point. What should the Bears do? The Bears are in probably the most unique position in NFL history. Back-to-back number 1 overall picks. You trade at year 1.
Coming off a solid year,
You trade at year 1, and you get another number 1 overall pick because the Panthers. So, what do? Right now, you have a big option. You have 2 first-round picks. You know what that second one, you're going to get an impact player. You have a chance at, I don't remember where it is. I think it's either 10 or 12. 9?
Yeah, the 9th pick.
Is it 9?
I think so.
I'll look.
I think Odunze was the mock for them.
Really? You have a chance for a big time impact player. You do at that position. But you have the number 1 overall pick. They have the number. Well, it's not telling me. It would really help it. They have 9. Yes, 9.
I think it's the 9.
So they're at 9. So you're looking at Odunze. You're looking at potentially a receiver, or I think Fashanu may be there. You could go to tackle. You could go corner. You could go edge. You have a lot of options there. But what if you could add Marvin Harrison Jr.? I still think they should trade back to 2 and then take MHJ at 2.
I agree with you.
I still believe in that. But you have a position where Caleb Williams is right there. And don't get me wrong, Caleb Williams checks every single box physically. He's not tall. It's one thing he doesn't check. Big arm. Makes special, magical plays. Oh, my God. He runs around. Look at all that. If the NFL was just about how talented you are, Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, Johnny Manziel, they wouldn't have been busts. Now, granted, they were busts because they didn't care. Williams seems like he does care. But the problem I have is that Williams has a lot of Manziel tape where hikes the ball, and people say, well, he's like Mahomes. Whoa. Mahomes hikes the ball, goes through his reads, and bails when he needs to. Williams hikes the ball and bails. Play hasn't even developed. He bails. He doesn't want to read the field. He doesn't want to read coverages. He wants to bail. I don't like that. That's a problem, right? People say, well, his offensive line was awful. There were reps where there was pressure within 2 seconds, and that wasn't his fault. There are times where he created the pressure because he moves too much. And then someone's like, well, he's moving immediately because he can't see over the line. Like, that's still a problem. Like, even you just plugged one problem and made a new one. He's too short then. So, unless you're going to give him cleats that give him 3 more inches of height, I mean, that's just not going to happen. I just think there's a lot to like with Williams, but calling him generational is, I think, potentially disingenuous. Now, if he sits for a year, learns, doesn't get thrown to the fire, I think you could have something there. I mean, if he played for the Commanders next year, he's going to get killed. If he plays for Washington next year, he is going to die. He will never be successful in the NFL. I will put my stamp on that. If he goes to a team like Washington and plays year 1. The problem is people want to say Mahomes, right? That's the comp. What did Mahomes do his first year? He sat behind Alex Smith, an old pro, guy who had been around in the league for 10 plus years. He sat because there was a lot of problems with Mahomes. His feet were awful. He made bad decisions.
But you don't think Caleb Williams is going to go to a team that has that guy starting already? He's not going to go to anywhere outside of,
Washington, Chicago,
maybe Atlanta, Raiders, depending if they trade up a lot.
My problem is that he sat. Mahomes sat. It helped make him successful.
Sure.
We are missing what the piece that made the final ingredient was sitting behind Alex Smith that made Patrick Mahomes successful. That was the final ingredient. And people seem to be forgetting that fact, which is frustrating me when they give the Williams comp. So, if I'm the Bears, I'll tell you what I'd do. I'm trading it. I don't want Williams. And I'm not them. I haven't done the research. I can't.
You think what would the haul be if say they trade Justin Fields to Atlanta? Do you think they could get a first-round pick out of Atlanta?
Not pick number 8. No, you're going to get a second, probably a second and a fourth, probably something like that. Probably something second and a fifth. I think you get a second, and you probably get.
And is that worth it? You go Williams at 1, you go Dunze at 9, whatever, right? If he's there. And then you go whatever their second round pick that you just get.
Because they traded their first second round pick for Montez Sweat,
right,
from the Commanders.
Yeah, which was a great.
So because they had a bad defensive line need. So I think for the Bears, I'm trading. I don't want that pick. I want to get out again. I would trade Washington. I would trade Washington. I would tell Washington what it would cost. I'd tell Washington it'll cost your second round pick this year. Obviously, your first pick this year, your second rounder next year, your second rounder this year to recoup that second. I'd literally just say I want my second back, and then I would probably ask for a first next year. It's only one spot, but it's Caleb Williams, and you tell them, and I'd lie. I'd say if you don't make this deal, I got another team that's willing to pull the trigger on one. What happens? They say no, then you draft Williams. Oh darn, you lied. I think it was the great Mickey Spagnola for the Cowboys who once said the draft it's honor among thieves is what it is in the draft. And so I'm curious to see what you'll do, but that would be what I do. I would trade out.
I'm with you.
I would trade out with Washington and draft MHJ. If not Washington, I would probably trade back with. I'd trade with the Patriots, see if they want to trade up. If they don't want to trade up, I'd probably go back to Atlanta or Denver or Vegas and just get a haul. If you go back to Denver or Vegas, you are getting a draft day haul right from the movie. You're getting first rounder this year, first rounder next year, first rounder after first round pick the next year. You're getting a massive amount of picks. And I want to ask, is Caleb Williams worth that amount of picks? I think he is. But again, I can't talk to him. I don't have the medicals. I don't have the context with the coaches. I'm going off simply what I saw in the games I watched. So, but what would you do if you're the Bears?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, trading down was what they're going to do with Washington, which is still one pick. You're going to get, Harrison if you want him anyway. You might as well trade and get a bunch of stuff for him.
Because to me, Harrison's he's a generational receiver.
Yes, 100%.
He's the best player in the draft.
And if you trade down one spot and you get, way more, assets in the future and assets in this draft, and you still get the guy that you wanted originally, I think you take that offer and you don't think about it twice.
Well, and apparently they are going to make a decision soon. They have said they're going to make a decision by the combine what they're going to do. So I mean, it kind of does take it. It's
a cool and good, but also a weird situation.
It's weird because if you don't trade,
then you keep Fields.
Then you decide to keep Fields. Then you just go with MHJ, no harm, no foul. But what I would do is, to me, even if you get a third-round pick from the Commanders, I think you still make the deal just because they're moving up for a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're not going to worry about
a MHJ getting taken off the board there. I would say move back, and I think you agree with me there. I like Williams. I think Williams is a great talent. I think he makes some throws that are unreal. There's a lot that I don't like about his tape. And I think there's a lot of problems with it. And I don't like his decision-making sometimes. I never really saw him sit, read a coverage, make a read, make a throw. I saw Penix do it over and over. I saw Jaden Daniels do it over and over. I saw May do it. I never really saw Williams do it. He was the least amount. I've watched the big six of the quarterbacks, with McCarthy and Nix. And Nix, that offense didn't require him to do that. So that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
McCarthy could do that. McCarthy reminds me of Purdy. He's still my comp. Reminds me a lot of Purdy. So, I mean, we'll see. The quarterbacks are intriguing because I think there could be 6 in the first round. And by the way, Seth, Seth, people don't know, friend of mine he's gonna be on the draft show with us. He is not like Williams. He has a hatred for Caleb Williams. That'll be fun.
I don't think you can deny the talent that he has, but I do think, that it could be overrated.
I think he could be overrated. I think he could be one of those guys that we look at in 3 years and go, man, we were wrong.
Yeah.
Not me, because I'm saying, not me.
I'm with you.
I think he could be a bust if you play him year one. I think if you sit him for a year, let him learn, or sit him for a half a year. Just don't throw him into the fire. That's what kills rookie quarterbacks. People don't realize that's what kills rookie quarterbacks. People say Tim Couch was such a bust for the Browns. He got killed. Same thing with David Carr. But you get hit 70 times. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Right? The quarterback can only do so much. And so I think, but the problem is that teams want the ticket sales. Chase, if you're the Commanders and you need to sell tickets and you draft Caleb Williams,
you're going to be selling those tickets.
Yeah, but if you say he's not playing, you're not going to sell any tickets. They're going to be, I don't want to see. I want to see Williams play. That's just because people don't understand football. Fans don't always understand football, which is you may want to sit the guy. Well, Dak Prescott didn't sit. Well, yeah, but Prescott, I don't say we got lucky that he happened to be a guy that could handle it, but not every guy can handle that. And even then, we had a good team. We had probably the best offensive line in football still. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we had a good roster around Dak. Commanders have good receivers, bad offensive line. So it'll just be very interesting to see what the Commanders do. Plus, Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Does the defensive coach want to give Kingsbury his quarterback? Or does he want to sit at 2? We'll see. It'll be a lot of intrigue.
I'm excited.
This draft will be a lot of intrigue. So
the good thing about it is we just sit back and watch.
We'll sit and watch and commentate live.
That's what we do.
Yep.
So I'm excited.
And this has been a great episode. We will talk to you guys next week.
Yep. See you guys.
See you.